What's going on out there, world? It's your boy Tommy on the spot for Watchalong Wrestling. Hope you guys are doing well and staying safe. I'm excited, man. If you can't tell, I'm a little pumped up. It's Monday morning, and, well, I'm not excited it's Monday morning, but I'm excited because I'm here to talk to you guys about the next phase of this YouTube channel. If it's your first time visiting this channel, make sure you leave a big thumbs up and subscribe. Welcome to the Watchalong Wrestling family. And, yeah, man, I'm pumped up. This is something that I've thought about for a little while here, and I'm ready to kind of dive into it, so to speak, and hopefully you guys will join me on this, and we'll have a lot of fun kind of reminiscing and looking back. Obviously, this kind of came up, so I had seen this on Twitter. A couple of folks over on Twitter had been talking about old wrestling DVDs, and then what happened was I started really watching some of these Undertaker 30 specials. Obviously, the Paul Bear one, which I did a little breakdown on, the Mortician. There's one of the Brothers of Destruction that I'm going to break down later in the week. And it got me feeling a little warm and fuzzy, man, for all the old WWE DVDs. These used to be my absolute favorite. It was DVDs, then it eventually became Blu-rays, and for me, this was probably the biggest thing that I thoroughly enjoyed about my wrestling fandom. It was something where you'd go out, and every single month, there'd be WWE DVD Network.com, I think it was what it was called, and I think the site still exists. You'd get an update that would say DVD extras and matches revealed for the Eddie Guerrero Cheating Death and Stealing Life DVD set, and you'd go on there and you'd be so excited, and it would be a whole list of everything you could expect to see on the DVD set. And I just loved wrestling DVDs. These were my thing. Every Christmas it'd be 4 or 5 wrestling DVDs, and I'd spend all of Christmas Day sitting there watching the newest DVD that I got under my Christmas tree. And I was always into the extras, loved the extras, would watch the extras, and then I'd go to the main feature, because a lot of times they'd overlap, and I would want the extras to be kind of redundant, so I'd watch them first, and then I'd go watch the main feature. But ever since, I could remember, I think the first couple of DVDs I ever got were The Undertaker's, which was an American Badass release, and the Hardy Boys Leap of Faith, and then from there it was just every single one of these things that came out. If it was a match compilation, if it was a documentary, I would pick it up. And I had this incredible collection of them. And then, obviously, the network came out, and that was kind of the end of WWE DVDs. I mean, they still exist, but I'd say the last one I could really remember being one they put everything into was the Kevin Owens documentary set. And that was released, I want to say, in 2016, and kind of was awesome. It went through his entire history, went through all of the stuff with Ring of Honor. But they didn't really do too many of them. I'll never forget egg on my face going out right before heading to WrestleMania. I want to say it must have been WrestleMania 33 in 2017. I went to a store and they released a DVD-only WWE 24. That was what it was called. A DVD-exclusive WWE 24 focused on the night after WrestleMania. And what happened? I purchased this DVD. I was excited to get it cracking. I watched it on my flight over there. And then WrestleMania happened. And the next night on WWE Network, they premiered the 24 special that I just bought on the damn DVD. So I was like, all right, I can't do this anymore. No more DVDs for me. Everything's coming to the network. DVDs are a thing of the past. But there was nothing, for me, even though I know they kind of still do this with the documentaries, if you go and you watch a WWE 24 documentary, most likely there's going to be a playlist that's going to come up on the bottom of WWE Network where it's going to say, let's say they just did one on, the Untold John Cena and Edge documentary. So they did an Untold special on the John Cena Edge rivalry, and then later that week, right when it was released on WWE Network, they had a playlist of every single one of their matches. And basically, if they had a DVD, it'd be similar. You'd have that, and then the extras in discs 2 and 3 would be all of your matches from that rivalry, which is similar to what they did with the Shawn Michaels Bret Hart DVD release. Then they also have little extras and hidden gems that are kind of thrown on their YouTube channel or on their social media, where it's maybe extra scenes that weren't in the actual documentary. That's exactly how DVDs were. You'd get a bunch of stuff that maybe they'd film stories and funny things, and they'd be on the 3-4 disc collectible that came out for that particular DVD or Blu-ray set. So they still have them, but it's not the same as just having something tangible to hold on to. And I think more recently, for me, kind of what got me going on this, even to the next level, so to speak, is the idea that I had found out just a year or two ago. When I was going back and looking through WWE DVD Network and that website, I saw that they had re-released the DVDs for WrestleManias 15, 16, 17. I didn't get them because I didn't get the re-releases. I would have loved to, but I kind of didn't notice this came out at the time. But then it got me thinking, like, it said something like chock full of 7 hours of extras, and I'm like, I've never seen any of this stuff. I was never a guy who ordered any of the pay-per-views on DVD, any of the Manias, any of the SummerSlams, nothing. I never ordered a DVD of a WWE pay-per-view because, you know, my parents were smart, but, you know, kind of, I guess, maybe I missed out a bit because we'd order the pay-per-views on cable, and then we'd obviously set up the VCR to record it, with the idea being that my parents knew that if this wasn't the case and it was a good DVD, a good show, I'd then want them to buy the DVD. So they'd order it once, we'd record it. I had like 300 blank tapes filled with DVDs that were just taken right off the pay-per-view feeds, and I'd keep in my home collection. And, you know, when I moved a couple years ago, I think either I put them in a storage somewhere or I don't know. Same thing with my DVD collection. I got rid of almost all of them. And so I'm kind of going back and trying to see what I have there. But I'm also going to go back and I'm going to collect WWE pay-per-view DVDs. It's something I've never seen before. I'm excited about this. There's very little information out there other than the WWE DVD network, which is there. And they list a lot of like, hey, you know, WrestleMania 20. You can also get the Mania of WrestleMania DVD documentary that's on there. Now, like, to me, I think that's great, and it's great that they have the list of those extras, but, like, many of those extras, I don't really know what they are. So I want to get all of these DVDs, and then what I'll do, I'm going to unbox them here on the channel so we can kind of look at them together, kind of explore what everything is. Then we'll take a week, and I'll return a week later to review what it is that we watched. And hopefully you guys will do the same. Hopefully you guys either have these things or can, you know, leave some memories of them. And it's something I'm really stoked for. I think I'm going to try to get this going here in the coming weeks, but my goal is really to kind of launch and dive fully into this for 2002. Hopefully, 2002, hopefully I can somehow amass all of these DVDs, and I know 2002 is a tough year. I'm looking at some of these prices, and I'm like, man, I don't know how much of this I necessarily want to get into, because you really are. A lot of them are really, really expensive, but I'm going to go through eBay. That's always my course of buying things from other fans, and way to get things. It's always through eBay. Sometimes I'm looking at the DVDs. One of the reasons I'm thinking about doing this collection is many of them are relatively cheap, and it makes sense as to why they are. Most of the stuff is on the network. Most people aren't necessarily extras nerds like myself, who want to kind of just take every piece of footage that's out there, and all the stuff's there on the network. So a lot of times no one's going to go there and maybe buy, you know, Backlash 2006 because it's on the network. You can just go pop it on and there it is. But to me, there's something interesting about having something tangible. The network does have some edits that are probably not there on the DVD. A lot of the songs, the original music that's used, sometimes was not a part of those WWE network pay-per-views. So I'm going to get these. I'm going to start with this. My goal is really beginning of January to dive fully into this with 2002. I want to get every single DVD pay-per-view release of 2002 and then go basically January to December and watch each and every one of them. But that being said, hopefully maybe we could sneak one of these in here before the year ends. I'm excited to do this. I hope you guys will get into it with me. And yeah, for me, it's an exciting new deal to kind of jump into here. It's something I'm really excited about, and we'll see where it goes. I think I'm going to stick with the pay-per-views to start with, but again, I'm going to do it from a DVD perspective. I'm going to tell you what those extras are that are on there. Maybe you see something and you're like, what is that? I'm going to go and I'm going to watch those, and then when I come back and we review the pay-per-view, sure, I'll give you some pay-per-view thoughts, but I'll also tell you what's on those extras, so that if you want to go and maybe chalk down a couple bucks for a DVD, you might feel like, hey, maybe it's worth that $7 to go and buy this online and maybe unearth something you never even knew existed. And then who knows, maybe this will lead to an even greater collection where I'll go back and I'll re-get some of the documentary DVDs, and we can even go and unbox those and watch those, and we'll have fun, man. It'll be like we're living in that year through a WWE lens all over again. So in any event, let me know what your favorite DVDs or Blu-rays are as I start this project. I'll look into them and we'll watch along together like we always do, man. Until next time, thank you so much, and I'll see you guys in the next video.